Monsignor, my first question for you is, when you prepare for your homily, how do you prepare for it? What do you do? Do you bring prayer into it? Reading of the scripture itself? How would you go about?
Well, I try to live with the topic for a while, maybe for a couple of days, so that on one of the days, something will pop up that will serve as the illustration that I wanted for the homily that I'm going to give several days in the future. But I don't ever sit down to say, now let me see what I want to let me write a homily on morning prayer or something like that. I don't do that. Mm-hmm. I wait for the thing to hit me somehow. Mm-hmm. Then it's better than you forcing yourself to write on a particular topic.
Mm-hmm. So, how would you prepare your homily to be hospitable to people? So, as they're listening to you, do you feel that you have been hospitable in your preaching? Do people find a welcome message? Do they feel comfort, from your preaching? Do you specifically think of that when you're preaching, to make people feel welcome?
How people are going to react to what I'm saying, is that it?
Part of it, yeah. If you want to.
Yeah. What I try to do is determine how people are going to respond to what I have to say and the way I'm going to say it. And as it were, I put myself into the pew, listening to myself say this. Will I find it striking or old hat? Nothing new, nothing special. I try to visualize that and avoid it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Would you give to a seminarian preparing to preach, for future preachers, about preaching that you've learned from?
I don't know. The way it worked with me when I was still active would be to have this subject in mind. Or let us say I'm going to preach at the investiture of novices, something like that. For a couple of days, I have that in mind. What would I say? And then suddenly something will strike me, an image that I could use when I put this homily together on next Saturday. I wait for that inspiration. It doesn't work for me to say now, apropos of nothing at all, to put together a homily for a sister who's going to receive final vows or something like that. No, it doesn't work. I'll say what has to be said, but it won't be striking as I would want it to be, and as it would be if I did it the other way. Kept this thing in mind. I'm going to preach for this subject for the sister 2 weeks from now. Something will hit me, and then I'll be satisfied with what I come up with. Mm-hmm. But to sit down on any day and say, let me write a homily for a sister's having a 10th anniversary, I won't be satisfied with the result. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I guess the thing is to live with that project that you have. I have to write a homily for a sister who's going to have a 10th anniversary or something like that. I have that in mind, and one of the days prior to that, as I'm driving along the highway, I'll get an inspiration. Why not use this image for the sister who's going to have this celebration? I find that a subject and a homily that I produce that I'm satisfied with came to me that way, not sitting at a desk saying, all right, I have to write a homily for this, but rather to live with this in the back of my mind. And one of these days prior to the ceremony, I'll get this idea, why not make it, make the image to be this or that, and then it works, you know. So, in other words, it's not mechanical. You sit down any day and come up with a prize-winning homily. It doesn't work that way. It's rather something that strikes you in the course of something else, driving along or sitting quietly in meditation in the chapel. That's when I came up with things that I was satisfied with, rather than to just sit down and say I have to get a homily for the reception of vows this coming Sunday. No, I've had to do that at times because time was running out. I didn't have that much time to live with this obligation, you know. But that's it.
Would you say you have a preaching style?
What's that?
A preaching style? Do you have a style that you've developed?
I guess it was, but I'm trying to think how I would describe it. I like to have it like as trimmed down as possible, and not to go on giving example after example or something, but just have it one image that I'm going to use to illustrate the situation of this seminarian who's going to be ordained a subdeacon. Yeah, that's all I could say. I don't want to go far afield. I just take the one image and compare his reception of orders to some life situation that everybody would be familiar with.
And how about the stories, these books that you've written of your homilies, of these collection of your homilies? Yeah. Where would they generate from?
I don't know. Those it usually works somehow like this, that I'm going to be preaching for the 50th anniversary of a sister this coming Sunday, let's say. And today, as I'm driving out to Morristown for some reason or other, I'm thinking about that, and I get this idea, why not make this comparison?
So a story would come about.
And that's how, this thing comes to life. Rather than I never could sit down and say, I have to write this homily. Now, what will I say? No, it's more that I will be hit with this idea at some point or other before I'm going to give the talk, and that strikes me that that's the image I'll use, and then I put it together, and I have it for coming Sunday.
And one last question is, in your opinion, how important is preaching for us as priests? and deacons?
It's tremendously important. Um, oh yeah, I wouldn't slight that. I'd say that what I'm struck by in several instances is say a priest whom I hear preaching all the time doesn't realize that to him it's just something that has to be done tomorrow morning to give a homily and this or that. But in other words, giving short shrift to the obligation to preach, just getting up there and saying something or other and be done with it. Now I think it's serious. I'm going to make a very big difference by the homily that I'm going to give tomorrow morning. That's the attitude the priest should have, but never as a routine thing. It's never going to be striking and meaningful if that's your approach.
About the obligation of teaching preaching, like our obligation of teaching preachers.
And what about our obligation in the seminary to teaching preachers? What importance does that place, or do you have any input on that?
Yeah, no, I think it's one thing I would do would be to point out the mistakes that you hear made in homilies. Maybe there's a particular priest who feels that he has to make a joke every time he gets into the pulpit, and it's hideous. Nobody appreciates it, but he keeps doing it all the time. See, you sitting in the pew now can identify. That's one thing I've got to avoid. Telling jokes. Yeah, I think you can profit by the preaching style of different priests, and seeing how it works. The way this particular priest puts together his homilies, they're striking all the time. What is it about his homilies that is so striking? That's it. I learned from others.
Any particular preacher in your past that you turned to, you liked?
Oh yeah. I certainly. I'm trying to think of who is that famous religious.
Father Benedict Rochelle?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. With him, it's inborn. I don't know. I don't think he has to struggle much to get together a good homily. Oh yes.
Well, thank you, Monsignor, for your wisdom, for the homilies that you have given and inspired people. The Lord has spoken through you to so many, and we thank you for that. Could you give a blessing or to us, all preachers, future preachers, and a prayer for all of us? You wanna?
Should I give you a blessing? Okay. Benedictio Dei, Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti, descendat super vos et maneat semper. God bless you in your work.